Hello everyone, ExtremeTuber7 here, and today we'll be exploring GrimHex. GrimHex is basically the sort of piratey equivalent of Port Olisar, and you can tell right away, simply by the aesthetic I think, about how laid back in terms of, let's say, cleanliness and tidiness that these pirates might be. They just can't be bothered to deal with that shit, so that's somebody else's thing that they're worrying about. Because it's not a place of permanent residence, it's basically an area where you go to crash, sometimes even literally, actually, and you are going here to basically escape from the quote-unquote long arm of the law. A lot of people have been coming to GrimHex for other reasons in the past, and those reasons are not limited to things like there being, let's say, a welfare equivalent in this particular sector. It's part of what is known as the Green Imperial Housing Exchange. And already, if you listen to the words that I just said, you can see where GrimHex can be created from taking a few of those letters apart. And in the station's name, Green Imperial, when you'll see that on the signs as we go all over the place, you'll be able to see how the green and imperial part create Grim. I'll also be giving a bit of a tour, as well as telling you what we're going to be seeing. Right now, we're in the B habitation area, which is anywhere from 7 to 8, depending on how many people haven't been killed and they have to have a criminal investigation into, out of 64. There are 64 beds in Port Olisar, and there are also 64 beds in GrimHex. Also, there's booze. Lots and lots of booze. Some in refrigerators, some empty bottles, some whiskey scattered around. You'll see that quite a lot. It is very piratey. Also, I've lowered the music for this particular area because GrimHex has a lot of very ambient noises. They're very subtle sometimes, but they can also be very outright and forthcoming, and that's part of the reason why there is not as much music as there would normally be during something like this. As you can see with this elevator, there are actually multiple floors to GrimHex, and I think it actually does have a sub-basement area, which is where the more mining-y aspects of the station are, but we don't currently have access to that. But in general, players have access to about 2 floors of GrimHex. The bottom area is usually where the shops are, and the top area is sort of the hangout area and where you would call your ship. And, more specifically, they are not loading screens. So here we have what is obviously a door blown off, probably a breaking and entering, and you'll see a little bit of blood here. This is one of those criminal investigation things that I was talking about earlier. Now we will be coming to GrimHex's version of Cubby Blast, where, as a matter of fact, there's an interesting story about what happened in-game. Currently in 2.5, you actually can't buy any energy weapons except for the energy pistol, which we already have by default. The actual lore reason for this is because the pirates at GrimHex decided to raid Port Olisar, and, well, let's just say that their supply of energy weapons to stock the Cubby Blast of Port Olisar mysteriously went missing, and GrimHex mysteriously got a surplus of energy weapons. Now, right now, the shooting range isn't unlocked, but that is a feature that has been in the game for quite a while, all the way back to when we originally had our original hangars in 2013, and I'm sure that once 3.0 drops, or maybe even with 2.6, they'll open up the firing ranges so that we can test fire our weapons and such. I'd also like to mention that you'll notice there are a lot of seating areas. There's a lot of places where we will be able to sit, and NPCs, once they start filling these stations, possibly 3.0 and beyond, will also be sitting and just, you know, going about their business. Right now, we don't have any sitting animations that are really fully complete, but they are working on them, and you would be able to see these animations on various around the verses. I may even put those in my video sometime, and a lot of times you can find them on Sandy Gardner's Twitter, actually, because she does do a lot of quote-unquote sneak previews for certain things. But anyway, now we're going to be going to the clothing area of GrimHex, and it's interesting because this clothing store owner, he basically sleeps in the same area that he sells his stuff at. Whoops, seems I had a little bit of a Sean Connery moment there. I'm gonna go ahead and run here a little bit to save us a bit of time, and we'll take a little bit of a loop around back to the easy hab in which we came from in the C module. Then we'll take a look around the lower areas in the mining area, which would be similar to the sub-basement that I talked about earlier, but not actually in the sub-basement. Then we'll finally get back to the clothes area. I'm sure you can see how this station has an atmosphere that makes it so that you really don't want to be alone on the station. It gives off this really aliensy vibe, I guess you can say, along with Security Post Korea. Yeah, so I forgot that there was an airlock there. I kinda got lost on my own tour a little bit, misdirected you a bit there. But that's one of the reasons why we went there, because I forgot there was an airlock there. But at the same time, this place is big enough that it's easy to get lost, and there are no directions, you'll just kinda have to remember them yourself, but that's partially what this tour is for. Once again, we come to a place where you can see just how trashy this area actually is in terms of literal trash, not trashiness as an insult. The character model you see here is filler, but the clothes aren't. These are, I think, his final clothes, but each one of these characters is going to have dialogue, and they're going to have their own unique faces and whatnot, but they do come second class to certain main story characters in things like Squadron 42, but in general, you can expect to see major storekeepers having their own unique faces and backstories and such. Look at this guy. He's so fucking chill. As you may or may not know, these boxes are stacked there by him, and players will be able to stack things in a similar way because of the fact that pretty much everything in Star Citizen is physical, and there will be item metrics that'll allow you to have certain spaces. So theoretically, you'd be able to manually stack these boxes exactly the same way, based on the fact that, like a UPS or, well, I'm showing my Americanism here, the FedEx flat rate boxes, they have set dimensions, and that sort of thing allows them to have a sort of slot port thing on the floor with the item port 2.0 system, which will allow you to stack things in that particular way. Now, this is something that I really like and appreciate in it, and it shows the effort that they're willing to go for the sake of immersion. This Which Hull is Right For You magazine is based on actual brochures that we have right now on the website. In fact, I'll pull up a picture of it here, and you'll be able to see. And so this sort of thing basically is in-universe advertising, and that's the sort of thing that really brings the worlds together. Now it looks like it's time for us to go onto the second floor, and I did not expect this, but somebody actually came around to the elevator while I was making this video, and so I had somebody pressing all the buttons for me. Here's another example of the only one loading screen that I mentioned earlier. This elevator is the same elevator, or rather, maybe, no, this probably is the other elevator. There's two elevators, actually, but anyway, this elevator is basically the same as the one that you saw going up earlier in the video, and you'll be able to see that it goes up in real time, and that there is no distractions or anything like that. Theoretically, later down the line, I'd be able to pull out my gun and shoot this guy, but that'd be a dick move. Oh, I didn't even notice this the first time around, but actually there's a brief glimpse of the habitation module in the elevator. I'll actually slow that down right now so you can see it. Here's the area where you would select your ships. There's not that many of them, only 6 for some reason, but I suppose 6 is enough. I mean, if you're gonna call your ship, you're gonna leave, and then somebody else can take it, but I suppose that they're going to expand the amount of ship terminals that we have, and that there'll be more some other place. And finally, we'll be coming up to another airlock before going back to the ship area. We're getting close to the end now, and you can see a giant asteroid out the window, and that asteroid is really there, trust me. I'll be able to show you that in another video. Not this one, of course. Well, I've officially seen this player's name enough times, Bobby Badluck, to know their name. And I imagine this area is where the bar is going to be, maybe? I'm not quite sure. We'll see, but it seems like it'd be a nice area for a bar. And now we end with a shot of the elevators. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.